How to become a millionaire with simple actions. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to move toward wealth almost effortlessly, while others work harder and harder, yet stay in the same place? The truth is, becoming a millionaire has far less to do with luck, talent, or even intelligence, and everything to do with how you think, act, and repeat small, simple behaviors every single day. Yes, simple actions. The kind of actions most people underestimate. The ones that don't look magical or extraordinary at first glance, but when done with intention, they create a ripple that changes everything. Today, you and I are going to talk about how to become a millionaire with simple actions. Not theory, not fantasy, not overnight success nonsense. We're talking about the daily choices that shape a millionaire's reality, the mindset, the focus, and the invisible rules that wealthy people live by even when they don't realize it. This isn't about chasing money. It's about becoming the kind of person money naturally gravitates toward. So, take a deep breath. Forget everything you've heard about success being complicated, because from this moment forward, you'll start seeing how simplicity, done right, can build the foundation for extraordinary prosperity. Topic 1. The millionaire mind starts with awareness. Every journey toward wealth begins in a place most people never look: inside. Not in the stock market, not in the business plan, not even in the bank account. It begins in your awareness, in the quiet space between your thoughts, where every belief about who you are and what you deserve is silently written. You can't become a millionaire if your inner identity still vibrates with scarcity. You can't build abundance on the foundation of self-doubt. The subconscious mind is the operating system of your life. It writes the invisible code behind every choice you make. And until you learn to rewrite that code, no strategy, no opportunity, no perfect plan will make a difference. Think about it for a moment. How many of your daily actions are genuinely chosen? And how many are just reactions? You wake up, check your phone, feel a spike of anxiety, replay the same inner dialogue. I'm behind. I need more money. Life is hard. Those words become programs, and programs, once repeated, become reality. Awareness is the act of stepping outside that loop and seeing it for what it is. A mental movie you've been starring in without realizing you also wrote the script. The instant you notice your own thinking, you gain power over it. You move from being a character to being the director. And this, my friend, is where every millionaire mindset begins. Because millionaires don't simply have more money, they have different awareness. They notice possibilities that others overlook. They sense opportunities hidden in plain sight. They don't wake up asking, "Can I afford this?" They wake up asking, "How can I create this?" The shift sounds subtle, but it changes everything. Awareness transforms frustration into feedback, mistakes into lessons, and setbacks into data. It removes the emotional charge that keeps people stuck in cycles of guilt, fear, and comparison. Suddenly, you stop blaming the economy, your upbringing, or your circumstances. You start realizing that your results are reflections, mirrors showing you your own vibration. That realization can be uncomfortable. At first, it feels like standing in bright sunlight after years spent underground. You see habits you didn't know you had, the procrastination disguised as planning, the self-sabotage hidden beneath perfectionism, the way you downplay your ideas to stay safe. But discomfort is proof that awareness is working. It means the old patterns are losing their grip. Here's a simple practice that can begin reprogramming your inner world. Every morning before you check your phone, sit for 3 minutes. Ask yourself, what am I thinking about money right now? Don't judge the answer, just notice it. You might hear, "It's hard," or "I never have enough." That's your current code. And the moment you become conscious of it, you can start to rewrite it. Write it down, then add one new line that flips the script. Money flows to me through value, creativity, and service. Repeat it slowly. Let it feel awkward. That's how new beliefs begin. Over time, those words stop being affirmations and start becoming identity. Because awareness without action is just entertainment. You can consume motivation all day long, but until you start catching your own limiting thoughts in real time and choosing differently, nothing changes. Here's where simple actions become revolutionary. The next time you think, "I can't afford this," instead of shutting down, ask, "How could I?" When your brain says, "This will never work," whisper back, "But what if it does?" That single question opens the door for creative problem solving. It tells your subconscious, find evidence that supports success. And it will. Your brain is a servant, not a master. It searches for whatever you command it to see. When you live in awareness, you stop being a victim of thoughts. You become their architect. Let's be honest, the world is full of people chasing techniques, crypto trends, business hacks, side hustles, yet very few stop to upgrade the person applying those techniques. They try to install millionaire results on a poverty mindset operating system. No wonder it crashes. So your first and most powerful simple action is this: observe yourself. Watch how you think, spend, talk, and react to money. Notice your posture when someone mentions wealth. Do you tense up or open up? Do you admire success or secretly resent it? Every micro-reaction reveals the hidden code shaping your results. Awareness trains you to detach from judgment. You stop labeling yourself as good or bad with money and start treating your behavior like data. Scientists don't cry over failed experiments. They analyze them. Do the same with your life. That calm curiosity is what allows the millionaire mind to emerge. As days turn into weeks, something extraordinary happens. You start recognizing patterns not only in yourself, but in others. You'll notice how some people speak the language of limitation, while others speak the language of expansion. You'll feel an energetic difference. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's awareness turning into awakening. From there, your decisions evolve naturally. You begin saying no to distractions and yes to alignment. You realize that every dollar you spend or save expresses who you believe you are. You stop operating from fear of loss and start operating from faith in growth. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more aware you become, the simpler your path gets. You no longer need to chase 50 strategies because your clarity tells you which one is yours. Simplicity emerges from awareness like light through a lens. Focused, direct, unstoppable. So remember, your first millionaire habit isn't working harder. It's waking up consciously. It's listening to your inner conversation, questioning it, rewriting it, and then taking one small action aligned with your new truth. Because awareness is not passive, it's the birthplace of power. And once that power awakens in you, the outer world starts to rearrange itself to match your new vibration. That's when life stops being random. That's when opportunities find you. That's when wealth begins to feel inevitable. And all of it, every single bit, starts with the simplest action of all: noticing who you've been and choosing who you'll be next. Topic 2. The Simplicity Principle. Why small actions build massive wealth. Here's a truth that surprises most people chasing success. Wealth isn't built in giant leaps. It's built in tiny, invisible steps that compound quietly when no one is watching. Every millionaire you admire didn't just make one big move that changed their life. They made hundreds of small, simple decisions that, over time, turned into extraordinary results. But most people don't believe that something simple can be powerful. They're addicted to complexity, convinced that success has to be hard, dramatic, or filled with massive sacrifices. That's why they keep waiting for the perfect time, the big break, or the once-in-a-lifetime idea. But the truth is, life doesn't reward drama. It rewards consistency. That's the simplicity principle. Everything great is born from something small done with focus and intention. Think about it. The greatest fortunes in history were not built overnight. They were built brick by brick, one decision at a time. A simple phone call that led to a connection, a few dollars invested every month that grew into millions. A quiet hour each morning spent learning, creating, or planning while the world was still asleep. But because those actions don't look impressive, most people dismiss them. They want the explosion without the ignition. They want the transformation without the repetition. Yet here's the paradox. Small actions compound faster than big ones because you can repeat them endlessly. Let's take an example. Imagine two people start today. One makes a massive effort once a month, spends 12 hours trying to learn, plan, and act all at once. The other just spends 20 minutes a day building their craft, managing their money, or visualizing abundance. After a year, who's further ahead? The one who was consistent, because simplicity scales and complexity collapses. Millionaires understand this deeply. They respect the small. They know that a single act of discipline today saving instead of spending, reading instead of scrolling, moving forward instead of making excuses, compounds into unstoppable momentum. We often underestimate what we can do in a year because we overestimate what we can do in a day. Simplicity corrects that illusion. It says, do less, but do it better. Do it again tomorrow and the next day. That's how empires are built. Look at how nature operates. The seed doesn't explode into a tree overnight. It grows invisibly beneath the soil. The ocean doesn't carve the cliffs in a day. It shapes them grain by grain. That's wealth creation in its purest form, simple, patient, and precise. Now, here's why most people resist simplicity. It feels too ordinary. There's no instant validation, no applause, no immediate result. But the people who build extraordinary lives are the ones who fall in love with the ordinary. They understand that repetition is the language of mastery, and mastery is the foundation of freedom. The simplicity principle isn't about doing less for the sake of laziness. It's about doing less with greater intention. It's choosing one direction and walking it every day, even when no one notices. And this mindset applies to everything: money, health, relationships, spirituality. If you want to build wealth, start with one simple financial ritual. Save or invest a small percentage of every amount that flows through your hands, even 5%. That single act shifts your identity from spender to investor. It changes your energetic relationship with money because you're signaling to your subconscious, I can be trusted with more. If you want success, commit to one growth habit a day. Read 10 pages, make one call, write one idea. That's it. Don't complicate it. Success compounds through rhythm, not revolution. The reason millionaires keep growing while others stop is because they've learned to respect small progress. They're not seduced by instant gratification. They're seduced by evolution, the joy of becoming a little better, a little sharper, a little freer every single day. And here's something most people don't talk about. Simplicity also protects your energy. The more complicated your life, the more scattered your focus. The simpler your actions, the more powerful your results. That's why so many wealthy individuals live with minimalist precision. They've removed unnecessary noise, decisions, and drama. They preserve their energy for what truly matters: creation, service, and vision. Let's take this further. Every time you repeat a small action, you're training your nervous system to associate effort with reward. You're telling your body, this is who I am now. Then do that long enough, and the action becomes identity. And once an action becomes identity, wealth becomes inevitable. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't need motivation. It's automatic. Imagine if saving money, reading, or creating value became just as automatic. That's when simplicity turns into power. The problem is, most people never repeat anything long enough to make it automatic. They get bored, distracted, or discouraged by the illusion of slow progress. But millionaires know that slow is smooth, and smooth becomes fast. Every overnight success you see online is the result of thousands of silent repetitions, moments of doubt conquered, and days that looked ordinary from the outside but were transformative from within. That's the simplicity principle. Big results come from small actions multiplied by time and consistency. So, if you want to become a millionaire, don't wait for the miracle. Build one. Pick one habit that aligns with your vision, and repeat it until the world has no choice but to notice. You'll be tempted to chase shortcuts, to compare yourself to others, to complicate your strategy. Don't. Simplicity isn't the absence of ambition, it's the refinement of it. It's what allows you to channel all your energy into one powerful direction. The most successful people in the world are not the ones doing 1,000 things. They're the ones doing a few things with mastery. Simplicity doesn't mean small dreams. It means clear dreams. It means decluttering your path so that every step counts. So remember this, you don't need to know every step to start. You just need to start with one step and repeat it with faith. And one day, you'll look back and realize that those simple, humble actions were never small after all. They were the invisible threads weaving the fabric of your wealth. Because the truth is, greatness never begins with a leap. It begins with a single, simple, intentional move, made today and repeated tomorrow. Topic 3. The power of discipline over motivation. Motivation is what starts the fire. Discipline is what keeps it burning. If there's one truth that separates people who dream about wealth from those who build it, It's this. Successful people don't depend on feeling inspired. They depend on structure. You've probably heard it 1,000 times. I just need to get motivated. But let me tell you something real. Motivation is the most unreliable energy source in the universe. It comes and goes like weather. One day you're unstoppable. The next, you can't even get out of bed. And if your success depends on that feeling, you'll live your entire life starting and stopping, wondering why nothing ever sticks. Millionaires understand this. They know that consistency beats intensity. They build systems, not moods. They don't ask, "Do I feel like doing this today?" They ask, "What have I committed to doing today?" That's the quiet superpower called discipline. Discipline doesn't mean rigidity or punishment. It's not about forcing yourself to suffer. It's about keeping promises to your future self. Every time you follow through on something, even when you don't feel like it, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. Wealthy people live by that rule. They build habits that run automatically, like internal machinery. Their routines protect them from inconsistency. They don't have to think twice about whether to work, learn, or invest. They've already decided. And this is where the magic happens. Once a behavior becomes automatic, it no longer drains your willpower. It becomes identity. Think about it. When was the last time you needed motivation to brush your teeth? Never. You just do it. Imagine if building your business, managing your money, or exercising your mind became that natural. That's discipline, turning effort into reflex. But here's the part that few people understand. Discipline doesn't start big. It starts tiny. If you can't wake up at 5 a.m., wake up 15 minutes earlier than usual. If you can't meditate for 30 minutes, start with 3. If you can't save 10% of your income, save 1%. Because what matters most isn't the size of your action. It's the strength of your commitment. Once you prove to yourself that you keep promises, your self-trust grows. And with self-trust comes unstoppable momentum. Millionaires know this truth by experience. They build micro-disciplines that create macro results. They schedule time for learning, planning, and creating. They treat their dreams like appointments they can't cancel, and they follow through, not perfectly, but persistently. Let's make this practical. You want to create wealth? Then structure your day like someone who's already wealthy. Block time for what matters most: growth, relationships, health, strategy. And here's the twist. Protect that time as if it were money. Because it is. Time is the currency of success. You can't deposit it, but you can invest it. Every disciplined moment compounds, just like money in an account. The earlier you start, the greater the return. Discipline also builds emotional stability. When you live by structure, life stops feeling chaotic. You don't panic when challenges appear because your routine gives you control. You develop inner confidence that says, "I can handle this." And that energy, calm, grounded, consistent, is magnetic. It's the energy that attracts clients, opportunities, and ideas. Wealth flows toward people who can hold structure. Now, let's talk about the dark side of motivation. It's seductive. It gives you a rush, but it's unsustainable. Motivation is external. It comes from a video, a quote, a temporary spark. Discipline is internal. It's built from choice, repetition, and identity. Millionaires don't chase motivation. They generate momentum. They understand that motion creates emotion. Once you start, the energy follows. That's why they always begin before they feel ready. One of the simplest but most powerful millionaire habits is this: never break the chain. Do something every day that moves you closer to your goal, no matter how small. Send one email, read one page, make one connection, review one number. The action itself is less important than the pattern it reinforces. You're telling your brain, "I am the kind of person who shows up." And that identity, not the goal, is what changes everything. Here's a secret most people overlook. Discipline creates freedom. The more structure you build, the more space you have for creativity, peace, and choice. When your habits handle the basics, your mind is free to innovate. That's why wealthy people seem relaxed. They're not scrambling for motivation. They live in rhythm. Their consistency protects their peace. And that peace, that quiet certainty, is what allows them to take bold action without fear. Because they know, "I'll keep showing up tomorrow." So here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, choose one area of your life where you've been waiting to feel ready. Forget the feeling. Build the structure. Do the thing. And when your mind starts making excuses, it's not the right time. I'll start next week. Smile and say, that's my old pattern talking. Then act anyway. That moment, when you act despite resistance, is where wealth begins. That's when you stop being ruled by comfort and start being guided by purpose. Because motivation might get you started, but only discipline will make you rich. Topic 4. The energy of focus, channeling attention into prosperity. Here's a universal law that governs success. Your life expands in the direction of your focus. Whatever you give attention to multiplies. Whatever you neglect fades. Focus is not just a mental skill. It's an energy discipline. It's the ability to direct your awareness, the most valuable currency you have, toward what truly matters. And if you want to become a millionaire, you must learn to treat your focus as sacred capital. We live in a world built to destroy attention. Every beep, scroll, and notification is designed to fragment your mind. Distraction is now a billion-dollar industry, and every moment you lose to it is a withdrawal from your wealth account. The most successful people in the world understand this. They don't guard their money as fiercely as they guard their focus. Why? Because they know attention is creative energy. Wherever your focus goes, energy flows and results grow. Look at the most productive entrepreneurs, leaders, and investors. They all share one common behavior. They work with ruthless clarity. They say no far more than they say yes. They don't multitask. They monotask. They understand that trying to do everything leads to nothing. They treat focus like a laser, concentrated, intentional, and unstoppable. The truth is, scattered energy creates scattered results. When your mind is divided between 10 goals, you give each one only a fraction of your potential. But when you direct your energy fully toward one clear target, you activate the most powerful force in human psychology: momentum. Millionaires are masters of momentum. They don't waste energy switching between ideas, projects, or distractions. They build systems that keep their attention anchored on what generates the highest return, whether that's a business, a skill, or a relationship. They understand something that most people overlook. Focus compounds just like money. Every day you stay consistent in one direction, your depth of understanding grows. Your decisions get sharper. You see patterns others miss. You move faster because your mind is streamlined. That's why the rich get richer, not only financially, but mentally. They've learned to harness the energy of focus long enough to create exponential growth. Now let's get practical. If you want to channel your attention into prosperity, start with this rule. Eliminate what drains you. Audit your environment. Look at your phone, your workspace, your calendar. Ask yourself, what's stealing my attention that gives me nothing back? Then remove it. Every distraction you delete increases your energy reserves. Next, define your primary focus area. One thing that, if improved, would elevate everything else. Maybe it's mastering a skill, launching a product, growing your network, or stabilizing your finances. Whatever it is, commit to giving it uninterrupted energy daily. And then, protect it like a fortress. That means setting boundaries, turning off notifications, saying no to unimportant meetings, waking up earlier if you must. Millionaires don't apologize for protecting their time. They see it as leadership. They know that diluted focus creates diluted wealth. You might think, but I have so many ideas. How do I choose? Here's the answer. Follow the idea that aligns most with your long-term purpose and that you can execute consistently. The rest are distractions disguised as opportunities. Focus also requires emotional discipline. Your mind will crave novelty. It will whisper, "Try something new. This feels slow." But remember, results lag behind focus. What you plant today takes time to grow. Impatience is the enemy of prosperity. When you learn to stay the course through boredom, you enter the elite 5% who actually finish what they start. Here's another truth. Focus amplifies creativity. When you stop scattering your energy, ideas flow faster. You enter a state of clarity where solutions appear effortlessly. It's not magic. It's the biology of high performance. Your brain rewards sustained concentration with insight and innovation. That's why the most brilliant strategies often come after long periods of deep focus. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more focused you are, the more free you feel. When your energy isn't wasted chasing 100 directions, you experience a calm kind of power. You no longer chase, you attract. You move through your day with precision. Let's make this real. If you want millionaire-level focus, try structuring your day like this. Work in deep, uninterrupted blocks, 90 minutes of total immersion followed by short breaks. No notifications, no multitasking. Plan your day the night before, not just tasks, but priorities. Ask yourself, what 3 actions will move me closer to my goal tomorrow? Then do those first, and when you finish them, stop. Don't fill the space with noise. Let your mind rest. That rhythm, work with intensity, rest with intention, is how high performers maintain focus for years without burning out. Most people burn their energy on things that don't matter. Millionaires spend their energy like investors. Every thought, every hour, every yes is an investment expected to grow. When you start seeing your focus as currency, your life transforms. You stop gossiping, stop complaining, stop reacting. You start creating. Because the moment you master your attention, you master your destiny. Focus turns the invisible into the visible. It transforms ideas into income, dreams into structure, and effort into empire. The greatest fortunes in history were built not on complexity, but on concentrated energy. One clear idea, executed consistently, refined over time. That's the power of focus. It's not just what you look at, it's what you refuse to look away from. So from now on, treat your attention like a bank account. Invest it in what multiplies your growth. Withdraw it from what drains your peace. And remember this, scattered focus is poverty. Directed focus is prosperity. Because wealth isn't just about what you have, it's about what you choose to see. Topic 5. Building wealth through value creation. Why millionaires think like problem solvers. Every fortune, every empire, every success story starts with the same idea. Someone looked at a problem and decided to solve it better than anyone else. That's the real secret of the wealthy. They are not just money seekers. They are value creators. They don't chase income. They build systems of impact. They understand that money is not the goal. It's the result, the echo, the natural consequence of solving meaningful problems for others. Most people think about what they can get. Millionaires think about what they can give and how to give it in a way that changes lives. They wake up every day asking themselves, whose life can I make easier, faster, more efficient, or more enjoyable today? That question alone shifts everything. Because when your focus moves from scarcity to service, you stop competing for scraps and start creating your own market. The truth is simple but profound. Wealth always follows usefulness. The more people you help and the more valuable your contribution becomes, the more income you attract. It's a law as reliable as gravity. You don't need permission to be rich. You just need to become valuable enough that the world can't ignore you. Look around. Every great company, every millionaire you admire, built something that improved lives. Uber simplified transportation. Airbnb made travel affordable and personal. Apple turned technology into art. These weren't miracles. They were solutions. Each of them started because someone paid attention to a frustration the world had accepted as normal and decided to fix it. Millionaires see those cracks in the system everywhere. They train their minds to look at inconvenience and think, there's an opportunity here. They understand that problems are hidden gold mines. The difference between a dreamer and a millionaire is that the dreamer complains while the millionaire creates. And they don't wait for perfect timing or perfect ideas. They act, they test, they refine, they fail forward. They know that even a small solution that works is more powerful than a big idea that never leaves the notebook. Most people think you need a revolutionary invention to build wealth, but in reality, most fortunes are built through incremental improvements. A faster process, a friendlier experience, a simpler design, a better emotion. Millionaires master the art of small, continuous innovation, and those small improvements compound over time until they create massive results. To think like a millionaire, you have to train your brain to see value where others see routine. Instead of asking, how can I make money? Start asking, how can I make this better? The moment you begin asking that question consistently, you start unlocking hidden doors. You become observant, curious, and creative. You begin to notice inefficiencies, unmet needs, and untapped opportunities that others overlook. And that's when wealth begins to flow towards you almost naturally, because you've become a magnet for solutions. Creating value doesn't always mean building a business or launching an app. Sometimes it means becoming exceptional at what you already do. Excellence is a form of value creation. If you serve people better than anyone else, your market will find you. People will always pay for quality, reliability, and trust. Millionaires don't chase numbers, they chase standards. They understand that when you raise your standards, your income rises to meet them. Wealth builders also understand leverage. They realize that the true game isn't just about effort, it's about impact per action. A person who creates a digital course that helps 10,000 people earns more and works less than someone trying to sell their time by the hour. Millionaires focus on multiplying the value of every move they make. They build assets that continue to produce results long after the initial effort is done. That's how they break free from the endless cycle of trading time for money. But creating value is not just a business tactic. It's a mindset. It's the way you move through the world. You stop seeing life as a zero-sum game and start realizing that wealth expands when you do. Every act of creativity, generosity, or innovation adds something to the collective experience. When you create genuine value, you don't take from anyone. You grow the pie for everyone. And that's why authenticity matters. People can feel the difference between someone who's trying to make a quick profit and someone who truly wants to solve a problem. The former may succeed for a while, but the latter builds legacies. When you care about helping, your audience feels it. They talk about you. They recommend you. They trust you. Trust is currency. Authenticity converts faster than advertising. Millionaires never forget this truth. You're not paid for your time. You're paid for the value your time creates. That's why they focus on high-value activities, not endless motion. They delegate what's low impact and concentrate their energy where it produces the highest return. They don't confuse being busy with being productive. Their schedule reflects priorities, not distractions. If you want to become a millionaire, start by becoming a problem solver. Observe the world around you with fresh eyes. Listen more. Ask questions. Pay attention to what frustrates people, what wastes time, what costs energy. Somewhere inside that friction lies your next breakthrough. You don't have to change the world overnight. You just have to make one thing better, and then keep improving it until the world can't help but notice. And here's the most beautiful part. When you live this way, wealth stops feeling like a chase. You no longer run after money. Money runs after you. You no longer need to force success. Success starts to follow your trail. Because when you consistently create value, the universe, the market, and people themselves all conspire to reward you. The path to prosperity is not paved with greed or luck. It's built with contribution. The more valuable you become, the more abundant your life becomes. It's not magic. It's cause and effect. Wealth is the shadow of value. And when you focus on solving problems, serving others, and doing it with excellence, you'll discover what every millionaire eventually learns, that the easiest way to make money is to deserve it. Topic 6. Mastering money habits. How millionaires make every dollar count. If there's one skill that defines every millionaire, it's not just earning money, it's managing it with purpose. Most people think becoming rich is about how much you make. It's not. It's about how you treat what you already have. Because wealth doesn't grow from luck, it grows from behavior. You've probably heard stories of people who won the lottery, inherited a fortune, or made a quick windfall, only to lose everything a few years later. That happens for one simple reason. They had money, but not money habits. They never learned to think, move, or decide like someone who respects wealth. Millionaires are the opposite. They treat money like a living partner, something to manage, guide, and multiply with intelligence. The truth is, most people have an emotional relationship with money, not a logical one. They chase it, fear it, or spend it to fill emotional gaps. Millionaires, however, have learned to turn emotion into strategy. They respect money as a tool, not as an idol, and not as an enemy. They understand that every dollar is an employee. Each one has a job to do, to work, to grow, to serve a purpose. When they earn a dollar, they immediately assign it a task. Some dollars go to build security, some go to investments, some go to experiences that expand their mindset. None are left idle. Idle money loses energy. Active money multiplies. Millionaires don't let their money sit in emotional limbo. They direct it with precision. They know where it goes, what it does, and how it returns. They plan, they measure, they adjust. Their goal isn't just to have more, it's to master the flow. This mastery begins with awareness. You can't manage what you ignore. That's why wealthy people are obsessed with clarity. They know their numbers. They track their expenses, review their income streams, and analyze their investments regularly. They don't guess. They don't hope. They know. Awareness transforms chaos into control. When you know exactly where your money flows, you start making conscious decisions instead of emotional ones. You stop saying, "I don't know where it all goes," because you do know. And when you know, you can redirect, you can optimize, you can expand. But awareness is just the first layer. The real transformation happens when you start managing money with discipline. Millionaires follow a simple rule: pay yourself first. Before they pay bills, before they spend, they invest in their future. They treat savings and investments like non-negotiable obligations, not optional luxuries. It's not about the amount, it's about the habit. Even when they had little, they built the muscle of consistency, and that discipline compounds. Here's something powerful to remember. The habit of saving creates the identity of a builder. Every time you save or invest, you're reinforcing a new story. The story of someone who values growth over impulse. That story, repeated enough, becomes your financial identity. And identity dictates destiny. Millionaires also know that money loves order. They don't let it get tangled in chaos. They simplify their systems, automate what can be automated, and review what requires attention. They build structure around their finances because structure creates freedom. Paradoxically, the more disciplined they are with money, the more freedom they enjoy with life. They also understand the power of leverage. While most people let their money sit in low-return accounts, millionaires make their money work for them. They invest, not blindly, but strategically. They study, they ask questions, they seek advice, and they never stop learning. They know that every investment is a teacher. Some give profits, others give wisdom, but both move you forward. The key difference is that millionaires think long-term. They don't measure success by next week or next month. They measure it by decades. They let compounding work its quiet magic. They understand that small, consistent gains outperform risky, impulsive bets. While others are chasing quick wins, they're building empires brick by brick. And yet, for all their precision, millionaires remain emotionally neutral about money. They don't panic during downturns or get arrogant during upswings. They've trained themselves to see money as energy. Sometimes it flows, sometimes it pauses, but it always responds to direction. That's why they never act out of fear. They act from principle. Their habits also reflect gratitude. They respect every dollar, no matter how small. They remember what it took to earn it and honor it by using it wisely. You'll often find that people who manage money well are also deeply generous. They know that giving doesn't reduce wealth, it expands it. Because generosity shifts the mindset from scarcity to abundance. It reminds you that you're the source, not the victim, of prosperity. There's another subtle truth millionaires live by. They separate their spending from their self-worth. They don't need to prove success through purchases. Their confidence comes from what they build, not what they buy. They spend intentionally, not emotionally. They don't ask, "Can I afford this?" They ask, "Does this align with my goals?" That one question saves them from countless financial traps. At the same time, they reward themselves. They celebrate progress. They understand that money is meant to circulate, not stagnate, but they do it consciously, never to impress, always to express gratitude for growth. In the end, mastering money is about mastering yourself. Your bank account mirrors your behavior. If you manage emotions, you manage outcomes. If you respect what you earn, you attract more to respect. So the next time you earn, spend, or invest, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, am I moving money, or is money moving me? That question alone separates chaos from control. Because wealth doesn't begin with the numbers. It begins with awareness, intention, and daily habits that make every dollar count. And once you learn to direct your money instead of reacting to it, you'll realize what every millionaire knows, that financial freedom isn't just about having more. It's about mastering what you already have so that it grows naturally, powerfully, and indefinitely. Topic 7. The power of environment, surrounding yourself with prosperity. If there's one truth that quietly shapes your future, it's this: you become the environment you live in. Success is never created in isolation. Your surroundings, the spaces you inhabit, the people you engage with, the information you consume, are either accelerating your growth or quietly sabotaging it. Millionaires know this instinctively. They design their environments with intention because they understand that environment beats willpower every single time. Think about it. You can have the best mindset, the clearest goals, and the strongest motivation. But if you live in an environment that drains your energy, distracts your focus, or reinforces scarcity, you'll always be swimming against the current. Most people underestimate how much their surroundings influence their behavior. They believe discipline alone is enough, but discipline is fragile in a toxic environment. Millionaires take control of that variable. They shape their spaces to support their standards. They surround themselves with cues that remind them who they are becoming, not who they used to be. Their homes, offices, and even digital devices are designed to inspire focus, clarity, and movement toward results. They eliminate friction, they remove clutter, they minimize noise, because they know that chaos on the outside becomes chaos on the inside. Walk into the workspace of a high performer and you'll notice something different. Order, light, intention. Everything has a purpose. Their environment is not accidental. It's engineered to keep them in a high-performance state. That's not vanity. That's strategy. A clear environment sustains a clear mind, and a clear mind makes profitable decisions. But environment isn't just physical. It's also social. Who you spend time with determines the ceiling of your success. Millionaires are deliberate about relationships. They choose to spend time with people who think in terms of possibilities, not limitations. They seek out peers who challenge them to level up, who push them to refine their ideas, and who hold them accountable to their vision. They understand that energy is contagious. If you spend enough time around negative people, their beliefs become your beliefs. That's why wealthy individuals often invest heavily in masterminds, mentorships, and networks. They're not paying for access, they're paying for alignment. They know that proximity to the right people compresses time. One conversation with someone operating at a higher level can save years of trial and error. Millionaires intentionally build ecosystems of success around themselves, people who are builders, thinkers, innovators, and doers. They protect those circles fiercely because they understand how fragile focus can be. The same logic applies digitally. The content you consume shapes your consciousness. Millionaires are selective with what enters their mind. They curate their feeds. They unsubscribe from noise. They use social media as a tool, not an escape. Every piece of information they allow in has a purpose: to inspire, educate, or expand their perspective. They refuse to let algorithms dictate their attention, because they know that attention is the new currency, and wasting it is the fastest path to mediocrity. If you want to build wealth, you must start managing your environment like an investor. Every object, every habit, every person around you is either appreciating or depreciating your energy. Ask yourself, does this person, place, or habit move me closer to my goals or further away? When you start seeing your surroundings through that lens, your standards rise automatically. You stop tolerating clutter, both physical and emotional. You start demanding excellence from your environment because you finally understand that your results depend on it. Millionaires also know how to recharge through environment. They create spaces that stimulate creativity and rest in equal measure. Their homes are not just shelters, they are ecosystems of focus and recovery. They design zones for productivity, reflection, and restoration. They don't work where they sleep or sleep where they work. They respect boundaries because they understand the rhythm of performance. And when they travel, they don't just look for luxury, they look for inspiration. New environments trigger new ideas. That's why exposure is one of the fastest accelerators of wealth. Every time you experience something different, your perspective expands and your mind finds new connections. Millionaires use travel and experiences as strategic tools for innovation. They step out of comfort to return with clarity. There's a reason most people struggle to evolve. They try to change their life without changing their environment. They want new results while keeping old surroundings. But if your environment reflects your past, it will always pull you back into old patterns. You can't plant the seeds of prosperity in the soil of mediocrity and expect growth. The moment you upgrade your environment, even slightly, you send a signal to your subconscious that says, "We're operating at a new level now." And the mind responds. Your standards adjust. Your behavior follows. You begin acting like someone who expects success instead of someone who hopes for it. So take a look around you. Your workspace, your home, your social circles, even your digital world. Ask yourself honestly, is this environment designed for the version of me I'm becoming or for the version I've already outgrown? If it's the latter, start editing. Remove what doesn't serve your vision. Add what inspires progress. Small environmental shifts create massive internal shifts. Millionaires understand this better than anyone. They know success is a system, not a sprint. And environment is the system's foundation. When your surroundings are aligned with your ambitions, success stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like gravity, natural, inevitable, effortless. Because in the end, prosperity isn't something you chase, it's something you cultivate, and it grows best in an environment designed to sustain it. Topic 8. Time, energy, and leverage. How millionaires multiply results without burning out. There's one resource every person on this planet has in equal measure: time. What separates millionaires from everyone else is not how many hours they get in a day, but how they use those hours. They treat time as the ultimate form of currency, more valuable than money itself. Because money lost can be regained, but time, once spent, is gone forever. Millionaires are ruthless about protecting their time. They guard it like investors guard capital. They don't let distractions, gossip, or low-value tasks drain their schedule. They've mastered a skill most people never develop: leverage. They've learned how to multiply results without multiplying effort. The average person works harder and harder, adding hours, chasing productivity hacks, and still feels behind. Millionaires do something different. They look for ways to make every hour produce exponential outcomes. They ask, how can I do this faster? How can I do this smarter? How can I create a system that works even when I'm not working? That's leverage, and leverage is the secret engine behind every fortune. Leverage begins with clarity. Millionaires know exactly what their highest value activities are, the tasks that move the needle most in their business or career. They focus their energy there and delegate the rest. They understand that trying to do everything personally is the most expensive mistake in life. The goal is not to be busy, it's to be effective. And effectiveness requires focus and energy management. They schedule their most important work during their highest energy hours. They protect their mornings like sacred ground. No meetings, no distractions, just creation, strategy, and deep work. They know that an hour of peak focus is worth 10 hours of scattered attention. That's why many successful people seem to get more done in one day than others do in a week. It's not luck or superhuman ability, it's energy optimization. They work in rhythm with their biology instead of against it. They rest, recharge, and train their body to sustain performance. They treat energy like a measurable asset, one to be invested wisely, not wasted recklessly. Most people think burnout is caused by working too hard. It's not. Burnout comes from spending too much time on things that don't matter. Millionaires avoid burnout by designing their days around purpose, not pressure. They do fewer things, but they do them with complete presence. Leverage also comes from people. Wealthy individuals are masters at building teams, not just employees, but allies. They surround themselves with talent that complements their weaknesses and amplifies their strengths. They delegate not because they're lazy, but because they understand scale. One person doing everything limits growth. A system of people doing what they do best creates freedom. They build systems that think, act, and operate independently. They document processes, automate repetitive tasks, and use technology as an extension of their mind. Every time they automate, they buy back time. And every hour they free up becomes another hour they can invest in vision, strategy, or innovation, the true sources of wealth. That's how they manage to keep expanding without exhausting themselves. They're not trying to control everything, they're trying to design everything. And design is smarter than effort. Another powerful truth millionaires live by is that time creates wealth only when paired with intention. The poor trade time for money. The middle class spends time to save money. The wealthy invest money to save time. They buy back hours of their life because they understand that their energy is more valuable than any dollar. They'll hire help, outsource tasks, or invest in tools that compress time because they see time as an asset, not an expense. That's why they're always learning, upgrading, and evolving their systems. They don't just work hard, they work through frameworks. They think in terms of multiplication, not addition. If I put in 1 hour here, how many results can it generate? That question guides their decisions. Even rest is leveraged. Millionaires don't glorify exhaustion. They respect recovery. They know that creativity, intuition, and innovation, the true engines of prosperity, only thrive when the mind is rested. So they sleep well, exercise, meditate, travel, and disconnect. Rest is part of their productivity strategy, not an interruption to it. Here's what makes their approach brilliant. While most people manage time reactively, millionaires manage it proactively. They don't fill their calendars with other people's priorities. They decide in advance what matters most and align everything around it. They use the word no as a shield. Every no to distraction is a yes to their vision. But perhaps the most powerful aspect of leverage is this. Millionaires build assets that work when they don't. They create systems, investments, content, products, or businesses that continue to generate income even while they're sleeping. That's the ultimate form of time freedom, when your past effort keeps producing future results. This doesn't happen overnight. It starts small. One project, one process, one system at a time. But as those systems stack, they create compounding efficiency. That's why wealthy people seem calm even when managing massive enterprises. They've built machines that multiply time. And yet, through it all, they remain grounded in one truth. Time is life. You don't manage time. You manage yourself within time. Every decision is an investment in your future. Every wasted hour is a silent withdrawal from your potential. So ask yourself, how many of your hours today were spent creating, learning, or building leverage? And how many were spent reacting, scrolling, or escaping? Because your answer will predict your future. Millionaires live by one simple rule. Focus your energy where it creates the greatest return, delegate what doesn't, and automate what can. Build systems that serve your goals, not systems that trap you in repetition. Because in the end, the difference between the overworked and the wealthy isn't effort, it's leverage. One burns time to survive, the other multiplies it to thrive. And when you learn to master that equation, when you align your time, energy, and systems with your highest purpose, prosperity stops being a dream. It becomes a structure that works for you, long after the work is done. Topic 9. Decision, risk, and courage. How millionaires move when others freeze. There comes a moment in every journey toward success when logic alone is no longer enough. A moment when you must leap before you can see the bridge. That moment defines who rises and who remains where they are. The difference isn't talent, timing, or intelligence. It's courage. Millionaires aren't fearless. They feel fear just like everyone else. The doubt, the uncertainty, the voice that whispers, "What if I fail?" But here's the secret. They've learned to act anyway. They've trained their minds to move through fear instead of waiting for it to disappear. Because they know it never does. Fear doesn't vanish with success. It evolves with it. The key is learning to dance with it, not run from it. Most people spend their entire lives waiting to feel ready. They think confidence comes before action, but that's the biggest illusion of all. Confidence doesn't create action. Action creates confidence. Millionaires understand this. They know that clarity comes from movement, not meditation. Every time they make a decision, even a small one, they strengthen the muscle of certainty. You can see it in their energy. While others freeze, they move. While others analyze, they execute. They understand that indecision is the most expensive form of fear. Every moment spent overthinking is a moment stolen from momentum, and momentum is the currency of progress. But courage isn't about recklessness. It's not closing your eyes and hoping for the best. It's about moving forward with awareness, accepting risk as part of the game, not something to avoid. Millionaires aren't addicted to risk. They're fluent in it. They know that every decision carries a cost, and standing still often costs the most. They've learned to view failure differently. To them, failure isn't a verdict, it's feedback, it's information. They see mistakes as data points, not disasters. Every setback becomes a lesson, every obstacle a recalibration. That's why they recover faster than most people. They never personalize the outcome. They don't attach failure to their identity. They treat it as a temporary condition on the road to mastery. And that's where true courage lives, not in the absence of fear, but in the refusal to let fear dictate the next move. Courage is not a feeling. It's a decision made repeatedly until it becomes who you are. Millionaires cultivate this mindset daily. They stretch their comfort zones intentionally. They do things that scare them on purpose. A difficult conversation, a bold investment, a public commitment. Each act becomes a declaration. I choose growth over safety. Because they know that comfort is the enemy of expansion. The truth is, most people spend their lives protecting what they have instead of pursuing what they could become. Millionaires do the opposite. They take calculated risks that align with their vision, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. They understand that growth and uncertainty are twins. You can't have one without the other. Here's what's remarkable. The more they act in courage, the less power fear holds. Each brave decision rewires their brain for boldness. The amygdala, the part of the brain that triggers fear, learns to calm down. New neural pathways form. Courage becomes chemistry. And soon, what once felt terrifying becomes routine. That's why wealthy people seem calm in chaos. It's not that life is easier for them. It's that their nervous system is trained for uncertainty. They've built emotional resilience through exposure. They don't run from pressure. They adapt to it. Millionaires also understand that courage isn't loud. It's not always dramatic or visible. Sometimes it's quiet. The decision to keep going when no one is watching, to believe when logic says give up, to trust your intuition when proof is still invisible. Those are the invisible acts of bravery that build empires. Every breakthrough in history, every invention, business, or movement was born from someone who decided to act despite fear. Someone who faced ridicule, risk, and rejection but moved anyway. Courage is contagious. When one person steps forward, others follow. That's why leaders lead. Not because they have all the answers, but because they dare to go first. Millionaires don't chase guarantees, they create them. Their confidence doesn't come from knowing the outcome, it comes from knowing themselves. They trust their ability to adapt, to learn, to rebuild if necessary. That's what makes them unstoppable. They've detached their identity from results. They're not trying to avoid failure, they're trying to expand capacity. And here's something profound. Courage always feels uncomfortable, even at the highest levels. But successful people don't interpret that discomfort as danger. They interpret it as growth. They've learned to associate the flutter in their chest, the uncertainty, the tension, with transformation. They know that when it feels uncomfortable, they're exactly where they need to be. If you want to become a millionaire, train your relationship with fear. Stop running from it and start using it as a compass. Fear often points directly toward the next breakthrough. It highlights the area where growth is waiting. The things you resist doing, the conversations, the decisions, the moves you delay, those are often the gates to your next level of wealth and freedom. Remember this, courage is not something you find. It's something you choose every day, in every small moment. When you choose action over hesitation, faith over doubt, growth over safety, you build the inner architecture of success. And over time, those choices compound. Decision becomes confidence. Confidence becomes momentum. Momentum becomes mastery. And mastery becomes wealth. That's how millionaires move when others freeze. They don't wait for certainty. They create it through motion. They don't chase comfort. They chase clarity. And when the world hesitates, they take the next step. Because in the end, courage doesn't guarantee that everything will go perfectly, but it guarantees that you'll keep evolving. And that evolution, sustained over time, is the real definition of prosperity. Topic 10. The final shift, becoming the person who naturally attracts wealth. At some point on the journey to success, you realize something extraordinary. Wealth is not something you chase. It's something you become. It's not in the car, the house, the bank balance, or even the business. It's in you. It's in your thoughts, your emotions, your energy, your self-image, and the frequency you carry when you walk into a room. The final shift isn't about doing more. It's about being different. It's the transformation from effort to embodiment, from chasing results to radiating them, from wanting abundance to becoming the source of it. Every topic we've explored, awareness, simplicity, discipline, focus, value creation, money habits, environment, leverage, and courage, has been preparing you for this. Because this is where everything integrates. This is where the game changes from external to internal. Becoming the person who naturally attracts wealth means you no longer fight for it. You magnetize it. You operate on a frequency of certainty, gratitude, and flow. You stop asking, "When will it happen?" and start affirming, "It's already unfolding." Because wealth doesn't respond to neediness. It responds to identity. Most people spend their entire lives trying to earn what they haven't yet become worthy of in their own mind. They try to build abundance from a place of scarcity. They want wealth while still believing they're not enough. And that's why they chase, but never arrive. Millionaires, the true ones, not just financially but energetically, understand that wealth is an extension of self. They worked on their inner world until it became impossible not to reflect it outwardly. They didn't just change their habits, they changed their vibration. They reprogrammed their beliefs, healed their relationship with worthiness, and stopped seeing money as something separate from who they are. When you understand this truth, something incredible happens. You stop needing to prove yourself. You stop measuring your value by numbers, titles, or possessions. You begin to live from a deeper awareness, the awareness that you are already complete, and because of that, you can create freely. You can give generously. You can build without fear. That's the energy that attracts prosperity effortlessly. Peaceful power. It's not frantic. It's not forced. It's the quiet confidence that says, "I am the cause, not the effect." You become the stable point in a chaotic world, and that stability draws opportunity like gravity. Here's the paradox that very few people understand. When you stop chasing wealth and start embodying it, it begins to chase you. When your inner state becomes abundant, the outer world rearranges itself to match it. Clients appear, ideas flow, people say yes, not because of luck, but because you've become congruent with what you desire. That's the final shift, energetic alignment. It's when your thoughts, emotions, and actions are all saying the same thing. No more inner conflict, no more doubt pulling against desire, no more pretending to be small. You've trained your mind to believe what your soul already knows. You were never meant to struggle. You were meant to expand. When you embody that truth, everything changes. You stop overcomplicating your path. You begin to trust timing. You let go of the need to control outcomes and instead focus on controlling your state. You realize that true mastery isn't in doing everything. It's in becoming someone who carries the energy that makes everything possible. Becoming that person is not about perfection. It's about alignment. It's about waking up every day and asking, what would the wealthiest, happiest, most fulfilled version of me do right now? And then doing it, not because you're forcing it, but because that's who you've decided to be. When you live this way, you move differently. You speak differently. You make decisions faster because you're no longer negotiating with fear. You stop waiting for permission. You start trusting your intuition. You invest in yourself. You treat time as sacred. You choose relationships, habits, and environments that match your new frequency. And the universe, which has been waiting patiently for your alignment, responds immediately. Not with fireworks or miracles, but with synchronicities, with the right people, with doors that open easily, with moments that feel like destiny, but are really just reflection. Life mirroring your new identity back to you. That's why some people seem to attract success without struggle. They've made the internal shift first. They're not running after opportunity. They're radiating it. They're not hoping to be seen. They've become visible through presence. That's the essence of true prosperity. It's not achieved, it's revealed. So, let this be your reminder. Wealth is not out there, waiting to be found. It's here, in you, waiting to be expressed. You've always had the code. You just needed to activate it. The moment you stop saying, "I want to be a millionaire," and start affirming, "I am someone who creates abundance effortlessly," the energy flips. The vibration changes. The external world begins to align with the new internal truth. You don't need to chase wealth anymore. You just need to become impossible to ignore by living as the fullest version of yourself. And when you reach that level of embodiment, success becomes a reflection of who you are, not a pursuit of what you lack. You'll notice that the same energy that once chased survival now creates prosperity. The same time you once wasted in worry now multiplies in wisdom. The same person who once doubted now leads. That's the final shift. That's the moment you stop trying to attract abundance and start realizing you are abundance. Because in the end, the ultimate secret of becoming a millionaire isn't about learning how to make money. It's about remembering that you were never poor, only unaware of your power. And now, you're aware. If this video opened your mind, take a deep breath. And remember, transformation doesn't happen from watching alone. It happens when you apply what you've learned. So if you're ready to live from abundance, to think, act, and feel like the millionaire within you, start now. Take one simple action today that aligns with your new identity. Then, share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Comment below what resonated most with you, and subscribe for more transmissions from the Success and Prosperity Code. Because the journey to prosperity isn't a race, it's an awakening. And today, you've just awakened the code.